Okay, so been to do this for a while. A few people have asked about the arcade machine. Fact that the power socket on the back blew earlier this evening, so I had to pull it all out to repair that or bodge that. I thought I'd knock something together. So anyway, this is the machine. I will switch to a better camera when I've put everything back in a minute. Let's just turn it on. Just a few seconds, it will kick off. So GeForce 6200 PCI only graphics card in it with 512 meg of RAM. The board that's in the machine, that's running the PC that's running it, is quite old. Doesn't even have an AGP slot on it. So only choice really was to go for PCI, and the fastest PCI that was sort of ever put out on the market I think was pretty much the 6200. So that's what's in it, and obscured most of Windows so far. There are just these last few little bits to do, but until I've sort of really finished tweaking the front end, I don't really want to get rid of what's left of the Explorer shell. Just more hassle to keep diving back in and out of it. So doesn't take too long to fire up. Probably can streamline it a bit more. Most of the time it really does take is while it's kicking into the shell that it loads after Windows. So while it's doing that, we will just go around to the back of the machine. It was an old Virtua Striker machine. There's the old marquee that was in the top, and was an old jammer machine that someone had converted for Street Fighter 2. Hence the number of buttons that were already sort of on it, which I've added to. There's the front end already loaded up, but we'll deal with that more in a bit. So it was completely white, if I remember rightly, resprayed in this sort of semi sheen, hard wearing plastic paint. That's the original trim work that was on it. I then replaced it with this custom orange stuff that was sort of originally designed for Pac-Man machines. So that now trims around the whole of the front section, where you can see sort of offset by the purple. Same scheme for the actual buttons, refitted custom buttons in that scheme. 8-way control joystick, micro switched. So around the back we have got an old Dell Optiplex PC, nothing particularly special. P4, I think, 3 or 3.2 gigahertz P4, 2 gig of RAM, 40 or 50 gigabyte hard disk. Strung off from that, we've got a powered hub running this little fella down there, which is a wireless receiver for one of the light guns I've got, which is currently in repair. Just repaired that. So that powers that. Also running off that is a connector that goes through up under the front, which currently connects to a 300 gigabyte hard disk, which has all the arcade stuff on. It was getting a little bit big to fit on the internal drive, so I just broke it out to an external disk. The files are so small it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference for load speed. This is where beforehand there was a nice little switch thing here that took a kettle lead, and you could power it on and off, which then fed that 4-way extension there, but that blew earlier and I really couldn't be bothered to fix it, so I've just wired in a detachable kettle lead that I can pull on and off whenever I need to do. So yeah, units there. It's PS2 control there, comes through, goes into, this is the main loom for the cabling for the buttons. It's a real mess. That then feeds into this, which is the jammer harness, because it was previously a jammer machine. That is the JPAC board that basically is then wired through to up in here. You can see where all the buttons and things are wired in underneath. It's just massive serial connection, runs all the way around, comes back through. the nicest, neat looking coloured wires are the ones that are the original buttons. The half-assed looking white stripy bits and pieces, they will be the ones that I've put in since. So yeah, wired up those buttons, wired up 2 buttons on the front to replace the coin doors, which were originally on there and powered by the big power supply in the back. Instead of inserting coins now, you can just press player 1, player 2, coin add, and that then comes down from the button loom down to the JPAC, and the JPAC will then just convert that into the relevant keyboard press, a 5 or a 6. That's configured for. Got a 2.1 speaker system, just a fairly cheap low-end PC speaker system, 2 little satellite speakers, and the sub down the bottom there behind the top coin drawer. There's a DVD drive and stuff in there, but it's not really used. I could use that instead of storing ISOs on the actual disc, but it's just much more convenient. Originally, right up the top, you had a massive, I think it's 36-inch VDU. I didn't want to die, so I had that ripped out and taken care of by someone else. So instead, I've just sort of screwed a plank up through, as you can see, right up to the top there, and then the front of that plank is sprayed black, as is sort of the inside of the things around here that is visible. As you can see, then got a power cable that's going up to the top there. That's wired all the way up to the top of the cabinet on the right hand side, and inside that comes down and is hardwired into the front of the PC to replace the normal on off button that the PC would have. So that's easily power on, power off. It's ACPI button, so one press shuts the PC down, long press will turn the PC off. And then mounted onto that, we've got a 21-inch ViewSonic screen with just a VGA connection and an ISO mount. It's a rotating swivel ISO mount, so if I wanted to, and I wanted to play sort of vertical or horizontal games, or I wanted to change that for a wide screen, I can just take that out and then rotate it as and when I need to. That has then basically had all the silver and surround blacked out on it, so you can't really see what that is. That's pretty much the excitement of what's back here. PC's just chundering away. Biggest challenge is sort of keeping it cool, but it's not quite a problem really with a P4. There's some grilling on the back of the cabinet when the door's closed so it can vent. That's it, standard VGA connection. I think it's running 1280 by 1024 on the actual unit. It could run more, but it's not. Yeah, and that's it for that. So I will screw the back on this machine, turn it round, and then we'll continue with sort of the thing that takes most of the time, is the front end and configuring the software. Yeah, that's it. Okay.